Well, I mean, I have a house and I kind of sell anything for the right price.
Got it. Okay. So it sounds like you saw our commercial, you saw that we buy houses, and then, but you're not really interested in selling, so you just want me to give you an offer.
Yeah. Look, pull in the spot. Ooh, watch how I drop. Believe it or not, this isn't all that I got. Yeah. They told me to rock, that's not how I rock. Now I gotta pop Madonna. Trading my traumas for commas.
Hey guys, welcome to the Flip Lab. Ricky here with my good buddy and friend, mentor, Max Jimenez. Me and Max actually met probably 2.5 years ago now. Yeah. When I first got into real estate, I was looking for local meetups. Max and his business partner, Steve Trang, super go-givers in Phoenix. They held a monthly meetup every single month. And that's really where I started networking with people and kind of believing that this is, something I could do full time. So it's cool. A couple years later, we kind of get to chat about our real estate businesses and how they're doing now.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, man. I do remember when we met, you were asking a lot of questions, but it's been a great ride. And thank you, man, for having me on. I appreciate it. So,
yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing I've learned from you throughout all these years is really the art of the sale of real estate. Right. I came from a sales background myself, and, I felt like I had a pretty good idea on, finding people's pain points, motivations, things like that. Right. But I think you really taught me how to kind of take those skill sets I had at like a telemarketing job I had over at Yelp and really learn how to convert it over to a real estate sale, which it's a unique type of sale versus a lot of other types of sales. Yeah,
no, definitely. I think what happens, and we see this a transition from, we have a guy that just started with us, I want to say maybe a month and a half ago or a month ago. And so he's had extensive, probably more sales experience than I have, maybe like 10 plus years.
Wow.
And so he came to work for us. And one of the things I told him, you're going to start from zero because the sales process is a lot different. We're talking to different type of prospects, right? And so, he had to rewire his brain, his mindset and the way he approached it. And so they're definitely a different, and I know we're going to get into this a little bit, but it's definitely a different approach to real estate sales, the way we take it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. When it kind of comes to breaking down the sale, right? In my opinion, a lot of it is more of qualifying out of people than qualifying in. I came from a sale where you were trying to convince everyone to buy the product. Right. And I feel like in this sale, it's more so of most people actually aren't a good fit for us.
Right.
So it's getting quickly at getting through those people, disqualifying, and then kind of really then focusing on the people that might need our help.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point. I have a saying that says a lot of people spend their time convincing in convincing mode instead of sifting mode, right? Because you're right. In the industries where you sell service, where you sell a product, that works. That's the approach that you want to take. Unfortunately, with real estate, it doesn't work out that way. So we do have to sift through everybody as fast as possible. So our goal in the beginning is how can I disqualify you the fastest possible without me spending too much time, so I can get to an actual prospect who needs my solution. So we take that reverse approach on that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I've seen, your sales guys throughout the years, whether it was Ruben, Miguel, Ryan now, you have all these studs that I feel like are really good at sales.
Right.
When they kind of get into your operation, what's kind of your process look like to get them to turn into sharks?
Yeah, no, that's one of the things is obviously we have an onboarding process. And like I mentioned earlier, with the new guy that just started, that had really extensive sales background. One of the things that we always say, we're up front, like, cause we have, and I want to say this, we have a sales process and we have a sales framework, which a lot of people don't have.
Right.
And so when you have that, you're able to just plug, I wouldn't say anybody, but you're able to plug at least majority of people to grab it and just follow that process and become successful at it. The challenge is getting them to believe it and have that mindset. See, so you have to sell them a little bit on it. So when we do the interview, one of the things we say, hey, you're going to be starting from zero. Like you might have done some type of sales, you might have some experience in sales, or whatever the case may be. What I want you to do is just zero out your sales bank and your mindset. And when you come with the start at zero, because we're going to program you a little bit different. So it's always a challenge, right? Because sales guys are like, I'm knowledgeable. I'll close this person. And especially if they're really aggressive.
You kind of need like an ego, a confidence to yourself to, I think, be really good at sales.
So we don't knock the ego, but we do definitely tell them, like, we're going to make you a monster, right? So now you play a little bit to the ego where where they comply, where they need to reset and learn the new
kind
process.
of trust your process
Exactly,
and
exactly.
kind of ditch what they learned.
Exactly.
So when it is come to like learning your process, what would you say is like the biggest thing that makes your process different than a lot of what you see in the wholesaling and flipping industry, direct to seller?
Yeah, going back to what I was saying earlier, is a lot of companies don't have an actual framework, right? So when we talk about a framework, what are the steps that you have already implemented where you can plug someone in? So what we have is we have a 6-step framework, right? And then within those 6 steps, they have different compartments, and basically that's the goal for us, to put our prospect, the seller, within those 6 compartments to get to the close, or to get the deal, or to finalize the deal. But so what happens is, what helps with that, having that framework in those 6 compartments, now the guys don't have to be jumping up and down, right? Like if this prospect is not cooperating or is not engaged with us at compartment 1, then we know that we can't get them over to compartment 2 or 3, which is, pain, money talk. Because a lot of people want to jump into, what's the first thing that we do, right? We call prospects and, well, what's your offer? Exactly. Oh, hold on, let me do some comps really quick, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no, never mind. Or, or no, that offer's too low.
Right.
So with our guys, we tell them, we plug them in and we say, here's the framework of what we need you to work on. Now, like I said, it's not an easy transition, which is funny enough, like they grab it in the beginning and you see this curve, and this is a trend that we've been seeing. We actually talked about this week, is that they seem to be grasping it, and then all of a sudden they hit like this bottom, like because all this head trash and all this stuff, the mindset, right, going back to believing that process. But then that spike goes and they start, like he's getting his first contract today, and he's only been with us less than a month.
Oh wow.
So
that's great.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I know from my sales experience too. I manage the cold calling sales team.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was, hey, trust the process,
Correct.
the process.
Yeah.
But you would see sometimes with any types of sales, it's up and down, right?
Correct.
It's no matter, there's just some stuff out of your control, and it's your job, I think, as a sales rep to be consistent in your process and be patient and wait for those opportunities to come. But sometimes the people that were going through one of those lulls, that's when they start bringing back their used car salesman tactics.
It happens all the time,
or
man.
whatever it is.
It's a default, right? And I have I did a training, I want to say 2 weeks ago with a private group, and so one of the trainings was that, talking about what are the mistakes that salespeople make, right? And there was 3 things on there. One of them is they default to talking about what they're knowledgeable about. They default to talk about what they're excited about, and then they default to where they feel comfortable. So, and then what happens is they start spewing, and and it's nature, right? Us sales guys, we want to be like, we know what we're talking about, right? We want we want the prospect to feel like we're knowledgeable, and at the end of the day, our type of prospect, especially when we're trying to buy a house at 50, 60, 70% of the dollar, like they don't care about that. They don't care about your feelings, like know. And so it's it's a little bit different for sure.
Now, I know you do a lot of sales training. You've trained a lot of people in this industry.
Yeah.
In your opinion, can anyone become a good sales rep, or do you think a certain type of personality is really needed in order to become great in sales? Yeah.
So, if you would ask me that question a year and a half ago, I probably would have told you we need a Max type personality, right? Maverick type, which, you can get that profile through the predictive index, which measures what type of profile you are. So we were always looking for Mavericks. We were looking for people that were aggressive, people that, were not going to give up and be on the phones and push the sell. But then we found out about maybe, I want to say, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, that, not necessarily do we need that type of profile. What we need is just somebody that has a higher drive, right? And what we call an A, has a higher drive. The B's a little lower, they still can be social, but we just need someone that can stay and follow that process. Because if you have again, it goes back to that, having a process, and a framework where somebody can follow that and they don't deviate from that. You don't really need to be that hardcore closer. You don't need to have that drive, that Maverick type profile. Because, again, you do need to have that dominant side, because you got to ask for the sell at some point, right? You can't be chatty catty and just talk about nothing.
I would say assertive. Maybe not aggressive, but you have to have some level of being assertive and not scared to ask for the sale.
Yeah, and so that's the only challenging part that we do, not challenging, but that's what we look at, is whether are we not moving the prospect down on the next step, right? Are we asking them, like, for example, we'll say, like, we're just chit chatting here, and one of the things that I always tell them, like, if it's chit chat, stop them and say, hey, you know what? do you mind if I slow you down a little bit? I'm writing this down. I don't want to be rude, cut you off, but I want to make sure I get everything that you're telling me. That's one way that you can get the people who talk a lot to slow them down without being rude. And then what happens when you stop them, you can move on to your next question, which would be move them down the funnel.
Have you ever seen like the straight line theory, like Jordan Belford's?
Yeah, I've seen that as well.
So one thing he talks about is when the customer tries to get off of the straight line, which the straight lines to kind of shortest point from the start of the sale to the end of the sale, try to just move them down the lines of certainty.
Correct.
And he talks about if the customer tries to get, talking about whatever the hell in their life, it's like you got to kind of finesse,
you have to,
kind of reel them in,
exactly,
and kind of get them back on track.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point.
So when you're talking to, or your reps are talking to potential sellers, what would you say are some of the biggest questions that you're asking in order to move them down that line?
Yeah, so it all depends where they're at. So one of the things that if it's an incoming call, we'll say, right, from PPC or postcards or even our TV commercials, one of the things that we want to ask is, how did you hear about us? What about that commercial that caught your attention? And then how does that apply to you? So what happens in those three questions is that they get to tell us, what is it that they saw on any of those three platforms? What about those three platforms that are going to apply to you? So now we got instant report. We know we got something that tangible that we can use later on. If they say, well, nothing really, I just want to make an offer. Now we know what type of prospect we have. So right off the back, we're asking that. Another good question that I always tell everybody, and I did this, I shared this on another podcast that I did, is, a lot of times us as salespeople, going back to talking about that, is that we always want to give information. We always want to talk, right? A question that you can ask that helps out a lot is, how are you hoping that I can help? Because then that gives you, it's a really good question, right? Because now they're either going to say, it's either going to go two ways. You're either going to say, well, I just want you to give me an offer, or they're going to open up to you and tell you why they're actually talking to you.
Yeah. And the people that go right to the offer, just thinking about it, do you try to just immediately get off the phone with those people? Hey,
no.
See you tomorrow, or do you try to do something with those?
No. So if they're pretty adamant about, what can you pay? What can you offer? Obviously we default to we call it a dummy curve. We'll say, hey, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I can offer you yet. I haven't seen the property. I don't know what your situation is. Well, didn't you look it up on Zillow? Or they'll say, like, well, my postcard has a picture on my property. I said, yeah, but, if you go to Google, that's the picture of the property, the one that's on Google. And then the next question is, are you just looking to get the highest offer possible? Are you trying to get the most for the property? Well, of course, that's what I'm trying to get at. Okay, so something like market value. So we'll put them through a market value type of funnel. So there's another funnel for that. Yep.
Let's do a quick role play.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm calling one of your TV ads, okay? So I'm going to go kind of, after taking in all these mail calls, radio calls, I've been on these calls, I kind of know how they go. So I'm going to try to just be the most common type of seller, I think that's calling, right? Hey, Max, I'm just calling about, I saw your TV ad and saw you're looking to buy houses in Albuquerque.
Yeah, who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
My name's Ricky.
Oh, hey, Ricky. Okay, what about that TV ad that caught your attention, Ricky?
Oh, I just saw it looks like you buy houses for cash, and for the right offer, I'd be willing to sell. It seemed interesting. Wanted to just get some more information.
Got it. For the right offer, you would willing to sell?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. Awesome. I don't need to sell. I'm not desperate, but
okay. How does the we buy houses and we pay cash? How does that apply to your current situation?
Well, I have a house and I kind of sell anything for the right price.
Got it. Okay. So it sounds like you saw our commercial, you saw that we buy houses, but you're not really interested in selling, so you just want me to give you an offer.
I mean, if you give me an offer, I might say yes.
Okay. You might?
Maybe. I mean, if it's a good offer, like I said, I'd sell for the right price.
I'm a little confused.
I guess, I'm just not in a rush to sell, but I mean, it sounds like, you guys buy houses. I figured that you would have a number that you would want to offer me.
Well, when you bought your property, did you just make the offer?
No.
Okay, how'd that work?
I think I talked to my realtors, and then we looked at comps and figured out a price.
Is it okay if I get that opportunity as well?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
perfect.
think that's fair.
Okay, perfect. So, and then, boom, take them to the next step. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense of kind of, you're just trying to keep pinning them of why are you calling me back? Trying to get them to open up about their situation without trying to
Correct. Yeah. One of the
Hit 'em
things
too
that I
hard.
don't that I don't like to do is try to overcome what you're telling me. Like what I want to do is make you defend your own statement. You see, that's all I was trying to do, right? So when you were saying maybe, probably, all I was doing was mirroring you, and then I was repeating back what you were telling me because I wanted you to defend it. Why are you calling me, right? So that's all I'm trying to do. So, and then if we get pushed hard, hey, when you bought the property, is that how you bought the property? So that always works really well because then they're like,
right, like I don't know how this
yeah,
process
and so
works.
we don't say like, hey, Mr. Moron, let me do that, right? We tell them like we say like, is it okay if I get that opportunity as well?
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes you'll get a little more aggressive, like you were nice.
Sure.
Yeah. So when we get the more aggressive ones, then we will still ask them that, and then like, and how do you expect me to buy the property if you didn't even buy it like that? We'll get a little more aggressive to match it. Because what happens is you got to figure out the personalities too, right? Is this a person as a driver, analyzer, analytical person, right? Steady, or maybe just somebody that's chatty. So we have to match that energy.
Yeah, you might like an East Coast New York guy that I'm talking to trying to buy a house in New Jersey who's like, hey, give me your price, what you got? Versus like, like a grandma who's, might have a couple properties left from her husband who passed away. Yeah. You're probably going to talk to them a little differently.
Definitely. A lot of people, because we're really huge on personality type, learning styles. So a lot of people aren't into that. So what I always tell them is that if you don't know how to figure out somebody's personality style or learning style, just mimic them, mirror them, just do the same exact thing that they're doing when you're talking to them. And that's how you're going to get them to be comfortable with you.
Yeah, totally. I know one thing I really like to do when I'm talking to sellers as well is if they are kind of coming in like the educated one, hey, I'd sell for the right price. I like to really pin, you've owned this house for a long time. I bet you know what neighbors' houses have sold for, the exact condition. It sounds like you've done your research. Mm-hmm. You just called me, and try to kind of pin it back on them.
Yeah, no, definitely. You always want to, I always say this, like, it's not fun to play a tennis ball by yourself.
That's a good one.
Right? So basically you got to just hit it back, have them hit it back. Right. And again, it all depends on the prospect. One thing that we don't like to do before we get into pain is I don't like talking about price. Because in reality, at the end of the day, if there's not enough pain for me to, for me to provide that solution for you to solve that pain, then my offer is going to always be low no matter what, regardless. So when we get somebody coming off the back, like, what are you going to pay? Well, what's how much you can offer? I already know most of the time, basically they're not going to be a prospect. There is something I could have done as well too in that position is I could have said, hey, Ricky, so it sounds like you're trying to get the most, you're not really looking to sell. Can I share with you, some of the other sellers that have sold to us and the reason why they sold to us? So then I'll go into what we call our 30-second pitch. Other sellers in the past have sold to us because, they need a certain time frame to sell. Some of them, not all, were in some type of financial situation, but most of them sold to us because the property needed a lot of repairs. Ricky, I'm assuming none of those apply to you right now.
Yeah, no, none of them apply. I just want the highest offer.
See, so now I pinned you.
Do you kind of recommend then, hey, if that's what you want, probably call realtor, take nice photos?
So we won't say call realtor. No. So then we'll say, okay, so it sounds like at the end of the day, you're just trying to get the most for the property or even market value, which I don't blame you. And then we'll wait till they say yes. Okay, so here's a cool question and something that I like to share too is we're going to assume that they have somebody already, right, that they're working. Always, we like to make a lot of assumptions. So we'll say, hey, Ricky, I'm assuming that you already have a realtor that you love working with. Now, the key word there is love, right? Because we want to hear that reaction like, no, I don't love a realtor.
A realtor's trash.
I don't know if I love them. Like, right. I know somebody. So I want you to say that so that way I can do that. So the next step for me would be like, okay, so it sounds like you would be open to other considerations, right? So now I can get my realtor involved, or maybe even push like some creative stuff, novation, sub 2, or a seller carryback if it's paid off. So
yeah, love that. So I mean, you've obviously had a lot of sales reps under you. You know, I think, like I said, your training and everything I've seen from your guys, top notch.
Yeah, appreciate
when
that.
You've seen your top producers versus your lowest producers, any like common traits of just what makes someone successful in that role? Because I feel like so many people struggle to just really start getting those contracts under their
no,
belt.
100%. Well, the biggest thing that I've seen is something I call head trash, right? And I'm reading a book. It's called "I'm Okay, You're Okay," and it's very deep in psychology. So like, if you haven't had like this type of sales training, right, the reverse selling and negative reverse selling and stuff like that, so the book's gonna be very boring. But I've been doing this for almost 4 years now, right, with the Sounders training system. So I kind of understand the book. So what happens with a lot of sales reps is to get them to believe what they're actually saying. And so that's the biggest challenge when you start to see that sales rep. Like we have one right now, which is Jesse. That guy's crushing it, but he wasn't in the beginning. It was tough. Like he had to relearn everything. So the dividing factor to answer your question is do they believe what they're actually saying, and are they comfortable saying it? Because, it's not easy pushing a seller away. You know that. Too many of us have what we call happy ears and commission breath. Right, which is funny. Like, oh, you want an offer, Mr. Seller? Right, we breathe.
This is, I got someone. I haven't had a mail call in 3 hours.
Yeah, I got someone. I got a live one. So that's the biggest challenge is that belief, and getting them comfortable to be able to say, hey, if this is not a deal, it's not a deal, because obviously we want to make money. But if you think about it though, would I rather know it in the first 5 minutes, or would I rather know in 45, 50 minutes into the appointment whether this prospect is going to work with me or not? So that's kind of how we get the mindset prepared. Like, do you want to spend 5 minutes with someone that's not going to sell to you and get over and go to the next prospect? Or you want to, invest mental energy, invest even physical energy, right? Because it's hectic what we do. With somebody for 45 minutes, and at the end they don't even want to sell, and you thought you did really well, and they're like, no, I want to know in 5 minutes. Okay, that's how you're gonna get better.
Right. Yeah. People ask me sometimes, like, because I still take like right now my phone, like if we have a mail call come in, I'm like the first responder, and then we have a couple people backup lines to pick them up. People are like, how do you manage your time with all of that? And I think a big piece is I'm very quick at being able to just qualify someone out or figure out if there's potentially something there.
Correct. Yeah.
When I think people that are kind of new to it, a point I'm getting to and figuring out someone's situation that might take me 3 minutes is taking them 30 minutes.
Yeah,
so now they feel like they're doing a lot of work, but it's like in all reality, they're just kind of working harder on leads that aren't going to really, turn into much.
Exactly. I posted that video today, and it basically talks about, I call it rapport wasteland. Like a lot of deals get lost in the rapport building because it's done either too cheesy or it's done wrong and correct. So I gave 2 tips, and then I had somebody comment on there, said,
how's the weather? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like you like baseball? I like baseball too, right?
Yeah.
So that's the cheesy rapport building. And what somebody commented on there said, oh, we're supposed to be psychologists now for wholesaling. And I said, no, but if you're 1% better, I said, you got to understand that the what we call, the motivated seller, quote unquote, is becoming more and more obsolete as the markets and these iBuyers come in. So, if you can get the ones in between, because you can't mess up a motivated seller.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? A motivated seller is a motivated seller, regardless.
They're easy.
They're easy. But what happens is that if you can get 1% better to get the ones in between, those are the ones that count. Yeah.
Right. Those ones, the difference between probably doing like, maybe if you're just one rep doing 3 deals a month versus maybe 5, are going to be kind of like those in between people.
Those in between, and those are the ones that you got to be a little bit better than everybody else.
Yeah,
be different.
Yeah,
I call it don't you got to stand out, not blend in.
Yeah, I think when it comes to rapport too, something that I've implemented is don't talk about the baseball stuff, but if they're, tell a story about, your property is on, East Lane Drive. We just bought a house actually. Millbrook, across from the convenience store over there.
Yeah, you're using it as a qualification, right? Yeah.
Right, and then they'll be like, oh, these guys are local. Yeah. Oh, wow, they've bought in other properties. So I think people need to spend a little bit more time trying to tell stories through that, not becoming best friends with the.
Yeah, no, definitely. To add to that, there's nothing wrong with the prospect talking about baseball or football. One of the things is you just got to get better asking questions. So if I see, like, I will point things out that are on the wall. I will point things out, if they got picture frames, things like that. But I'll ask them about it, right? Oh, I see that you went to the stadium. Like, I'm not going to say, well, I love baseball too. I went here, because then you're just like, you're basically, I can't remember, Andy Frisilla had a weird name for this, but it was where, anyways, like, my story is better than yours.
People like to hear themselves talk.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true. So if you could get them talking, then all of a
so
sudden
my
dude, Max is like a
my
cool
question
guy.
would be like, okay, what do you like about baseball? And then as soon as they tell me I love hearing the sounds or I love seeing the bat hit, I love, you know, the feel of the park. Now I know what type of person I got, right? So I just name auditory, visual, and kinesthetic, right? So that's okay to talk about baseball but when it's them telling you their story.
Yeah, you're kind of like that like, you know, they just like, oh, he's a curious guy, but really, you know, you're stacking up ammo. You're trying to figure out the type of person,
get them comfortable too, you know,
that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So with your business right now, I know a lot of people that are trying to get deals under contract.
Mm-hmm.
There seems like a bunch of guys who they want to go to the properties, meet sellers face to face. Other guys, it seems like even in Phoenix, I'm talking to, they won't leave the office and they're sending DocuSigns when the appointment's 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys do?
So priority is let's book the appointment, but we will get it under, if it's something that we can get under contract over DocuSign, we're doing it. So we're not, but priority is let's go to the appointment. Let's, cause honestly, like, you're going to get a deeper discount. It's already been proven. We proved it in our business. You're always going to get a bigger spread at the appointment.
I agree 100%. Like, I tell Steve, that's my business partner, he's in New Jersey. I do most of the acquisitions, but he usually goes to the property because I'm just like, in my opinion, if you show up and then kind of talk to the seller about price and stuff, they're also going to consider whatever price you're at more serious compared to kind of the DocuSign sometimes. Even if the price is good, I'm almost like, you know, maybe they feel like, well, it's like these guys haven't even really looked at the property.
Yeah,
like,
no, for sure.
Do they really know?
For sure.
So you guys will kind of just
what priority is book the appointment, but we won't hesitate to get DocuSign going as well. So
yeah. So what's kind of the operation looking like these days? It sounds like you're not really in the trenches too much these days, right?
So I'm starting to get away from it. I mean, it just happened probably within the last maybe 2-3 months.
You've been in the trenches a long time.
Oh yeah,
too.
man.
You know,
I went
to want to delegate out after.
Oh
like
yeah, I
2 deals.
was telling these guys, you know, our talent acquisition team, like, man, you guys don't know how many appointments I went to 2018, 2019, even 2020. I said, but you know, I still love acquisitions. Like, I'm a sales guy at heart. Like, So my goal right now is, right now we have 3 acquisitions, and then we have 1 relationship manager / dispo. So, and then we have Lena, which is our transaction coordinator, and then Ryan's running all operations. So awesome. Ryan, he's awesome. And then we have a team of VAs. We have 3 admin VAs overseas, and then we have we use call magicians for cold calling.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I love that. So just over time, you know, kind of found the right pieces in place, and now.
Yeah, you know, that's the hardest part, man, is because we had, you know, we feel like we have the right people right now. We're just, man, we're taking off, dude. Yeah. We're taking off. Yeah.
Love seeing it, man. Yeah. Now, if people want to kind of learn more about sales from you guys and Steve, where should they kind of find you? Where should they learn more about this?
So real simple, 2 things. They can follow me on Instagram, right, at Real Max Jimenez, or they can go to disruptors.com. Really easy website, disruptors.com, and then get more information on there. We actually got a free course on there as well, too.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, dude, it was so much fun having you on. Like I said, thanks for being a mentor to me.
I appreciate it. You're welcome, man.
And let's get together soon. Hopefully, more meetups start happening.
Yeah, we have the event coming, so it's awesome to be on stage with you with that.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun being on stage August 24th for anyone that's in Phoenix. Definitely hit us up about the event. But great having you on, bro.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.